Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope it shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. A new day dawns, once more the gift is given. Wonder fills this moment shared together. The light of peace it shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Open our eyes to see that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love it shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home.
Welcome. Welcome to Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Reverend Joanna. I'm so glad that we can be together after this week. Here we are on the Sunday after an attempted insurrection, and an insurrection not guided by high ideals, but guided specifically with a desire to subvert our high ideals of democracy and noble elected public service. I'm so glad that I have a church community that I am a part of and that I get to return to, even if it's online, every week, especially when weeks like this one with all their complexity happen. If this is your first time with us, I'm so glad you found us. Know that you are so welcome here. After the service, if you want to know more about us, go to liveoakuu.org. You'll find a link for our newsletter. You'll even find a link to sort of an online visitors table that we do every Sunday. It's called Just for Visitors. You can click on that, and if you have any questions about Live Oak, we'll have a couple of members there who can answer those questions for you. During the Holocaust, we had a thing called the Unitarian Service Committee, and they sent a couple of people over to Europe to try and help people escape. And they needed a symbol, something that no matter what language you spoke, you could see this symbol and know that it stood for truth and it stood for help. And the symbol that they chose was that of a flaming chalice. And so now Practically all UU churches, whenever we gather on Sunday or for other gatherings, we begin our service by lighting our own chalice. And so if you have a candle or a chalice near, please draw it towards you as we light our chalices together.
January 6th, 2021. My dearest Kay, today something happened in our country which has me both sad and angry. You probably didn't see it on the news because you are so young, but I trust you will learn about it in history classes when you're older, or your mommy and daddy will tell you about it. Today was a day that our elected representatives gathered at the national capital to make the final count of the electoral votes and certify that Joe Biden is our new president. Their process was disrupted by an angry, fearful mob of people who came to create chaos and to try to stop Congress from fulfilling their duty to the people who elected them. They were encouraged to act this way by the outgoing president, who was mad that he lost. You know how sometimes you want something and you don't get it and you throw a little fit? Well, he threw a really big fit, and he invited all of his followers to join him. I can't say that I'm surprised all this happened. Sad, embarrassed, ashamed, angry, but not surprised. It's a hard fact that power can lead people to be greedy and selfish, or maybe that people who are greedy and selfish are attracted to power. If that kind of person is in a position of leadership, that kind of position that the presidency holds, they can wrongly use that leadership to get more power for themselves. Rather than leading from a place of compassion and understanding for the people that they were elected to serve. What this mob did was wrong. What the president did was wrong. And I don't know exactly what happens next. There are people on both sides, and they aren't really talking to each other, except for in hateful ways. Sometimes I think the United States has been asleep and is just starting to wake up. As a country, we have some wonderful ideas and ideals, but we aren't too good at living up to them, and we aren't too good at honoring our promises, and sadly, there are too many people in our country who are hurting and don't have a voice in our system. I most want to tell you that even though what happened might make you afraid, don't close your eyes or your heart. Don't seek power over others as you get older. Use your words to inspire acts of compassion and create justice in the world. Listen to that still, small voice that makes you human and connects you to the universe. I love you. Signed, Oma.
I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. There is hurting in my family. There is sorrow in my town. There is panic in the nation. There is wailing the whole world round. But I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. May the children see more clearly. May the elders be more wise. May the wind of change caress us, even though it burns our eyes. Oh, I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up in the light of change. Give me a mighty oak to hold my confusion. Give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. For I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change.
From a collection of writings that affirms mankind, entitled The People, Yes, written by a Universalist, Carl Sandburg. Lincoln. He was a mystery in smoke and flags, saying yes to smoke, yes to flags, yes to the paradoxes of democracy, yes to the hopes of government, of the people, by the people, and for the people. No to debauchery of the public mind. No to personal malice nursed and fed. Yes to the Constitution when a help. No to the Constitution when a hindrance. Yes to man as a struggler amid illusions, each man fated to answer for himself. Which of the faiths and illusions of mankind must I choose for my own sustaining light, to bring me beyond the present wilderness? Lincoln. Was he a poet? And did he write verses? Quote, I have not willingly planted a thorn in any man's bosom. I shall do nothing through malice. What I deal with is too vast for malice. Close quote. Death was in the air. So was birth.
On Wednesday, January 6th, 2021, a new day that will live in infamy, my mother called me. She had turned 90 just a month ago in December, and she was reflecting back on all the things that she has seen in her life. She says that she can remember being a little girl during World War II and knowing that bombs from Germany could drop on the United States. And she remembered being a mother of young children during the Cuban Missile Crisis and knowing that the United States could be attacked by Russia. She said, though, that what she was seeing on that day on TV, she never could have imagined. Americans, actual Americans, storming the Capitol in an attempt to overthrow a legitimate election, cheered on by the President of the United States and other elected Congresspeople. She and I were both in a feeling of rage and also completely heartsick to see this happen. Gangs of white Americans storming the Capitol, and that detail is not insignificant because you can't separate out the racism from what happened. I was thinking, and I'm sure many of you were too, I was thinking about what this would look like if those were black faces storming the Capitol. I didn't think that there would be any Capitol Police holding open doors for them. We know that wouldn't happen. We know that there would have been tremendous bloodshed. And you can't separate out the racism from the motivations of these people. The people who forced their way in, who forced their way past the barricades and broke windows and got their way into the Capitol were steeped in racism. The person who made his way to the front of the Senate to stand on the dais there had a Ku Klux Klan tattooed on himself. Others marched through the Capitol building carrying Confederate flags. One had on a Nazi t-shirt that said something about Camp Auschwitz. These are not insignificant details. This is part of the energy that was propelling them forward, their racism and their own feelings of white superiority and the way, yes, that they were treated by those who should have been protecting the Capitol. And then, seemingly just minutes later, online, I began seeing the people who have supported the current president, supported this movement of hate, and how they all of a sudden, the people who had been, until they went into the Capitol, they had been cheering them on, calling them patriots. All of a sudden, they backed away from that and they began disavowing it, and not disavowing what their teammates had done, but instead claiming that no, those were not Trumpers, those were not Proud Boys, those were actually Antifa dressed up as the bad guys. That part didn't surprise me. I've been seeing that my whole life. I grew up in Texas, and the town where I went to high school was one of those areas where you had one great big, in this case, Southern Baptist church that to this Unitarian kid felt like 80 to 90% of the school attended. And when I was in college, I had to go back to that area and testify against the person who had been my high school drama teacher because he had done some really bad things. And his whole church showed up to defend him because for their thinking, it was he was a good Christian, therefore he couldn't have done these things, rather than, of course, take the logical step of maybe if he did these things, he actually was not a good Christian. So I have been seeing this kind of thing my entire life. People get so fused to an idea or a tribe, some type of group or a concept. They become so fused that their very identity is a part of it. And so when they are faced with some very hard facts about those ideas or about those other people, they can't take it. And so they come up with the most fantastical ideas to try and work their way around it rather than accept the fact that they were wrong. So no, that part didn't surprise me at all. Disgust me? Yes. It will never be so normalized that I am not disgusted, but not surprised. But I absolutely was repulsed by what I saw. And if you were too, good. There is good reason for that, because see, this was not just some sort of American patriotism that was rising up in us. This, for us, was watching one of our religious tenets, a tenet of Unitarian Universalism, be profaned. Democracy, for us, is not just some sort of civil, secular idea. For us, it is a religious tenet. It is part of our fifth principle of the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism. We have it enshrined as our respect for the use of the democratic process. And that goes back much farther in our religion than even the principles themselves. It is based in a profound and radical belief in the equality of all people. It is based in the idea that all people are created equal, that when someone is born, they are not of more or less value than anyone else who is born. We are all born of equal, significant value. That is what is underneath this belief, this tenet, this value about democracy. Because if you believe that all people, not just the people that the founders of the United States envisioned, but a vision that was even larger than themselves, all people, regardless of color, regardless of economics, regardless of everything, if you believe that all people are equal, then you will believe that every person has a right to elect the people who will represent them in making laws and creating policy. One person, one vote. Yes, we can certainly get into the complication that is the Electoral College. That is a sermon for another day. But even with the Electoral College, what is underneath that is this principle of one person, one vote. And no one person's vote is allowed to overtake the votes of someone else. No elected leader is allowed to decide that your vote does not count. And by God, no violent mob is allowed to take that vote from you. We saw the Capitol being defiled. That's what it was. Breaking things, breaking into offices, making messes, breaking furniture, ripping off things. We saw it being defiled, and as a symbol of the democracy that we hold dear, we saw something sacred being profaned. And those mobs did not arrive there themselves. I'm sure that many sociologists and historians are going to look back on this and be able to draw a line going back many, many years to get to this moment. But right now, I am more concerned with the really obvious, really direct causal link. And we cannot avoid that. We cannot act like it was just politics. The President of the United States invited these people to come on this date to the Capitol to do what they did. On December 19th, he tweeted, "Big protest in DC on January 6th. Be there, be wild." One of his followers tweeted to him and said, "The cavalry is coming, Mr. President." To which he responded by tweeting back, "A great honor." And when at last he was somehow forced to create a video to put out telling them to cease and desist the violence, he first reiterated all of the lies that drove them there in the first place, and then ended by saying, "We love you. You're very special. Go home and go home in peace." When I heard that, well, it was the words of the Hebrew Bible that came to me in the 6th book of Jeremiah. "They dress the wound of my people as though it were not serious. Peace, peace, they say, when there is no peace. Are they ashamed of their detestable conduct? No, they have no shame at all. They do not even know how to blush." When I'm talking about shame, I don't speak of it lightly. It can be very destructive. But shame absolutely should be given over to what we saw and to all of the people who poured gasoline onto this, all of the senators and the Republicans who allowed the flames to grow, who encouraged all of the doubt about what has been our pride: a fair election and a peaceful transfer of power. Yes, there should be shame meted out. They should blush, and we should have consequences more than that. For those senators and congressmen who tried to overthrow the will of the people, they should be censured. They should be stripped of committee assignments, and as soon as possible, they should be removed from office. Maybe it won't happen in terms of a recall. Maybe we will have to wait until their next election. But we will remember. We must remember all that has happened this week. We have lived through yet another very historical week. Layers upon layers of history. Let's remember them. Let's take action on the things that we should take action on. Let's not just remember the last layer, the most recent layer of this week that we saw, because powerful, good and bad things were happening all week long. We should remember, as Heather Cox Richardson, the wonderful historian, wrote that 6 senators and more than half of the House Republicans backed an attempt to overthrow our government in favor of a man caught on tape just 4 days ago trying to strong-arm a state election official into falsifying election results. We should remember that. We should tell that part of history to our children. Should we be so lucky as to be 90 years old and looking back at our lives. And we should also remember and tell them this, because something really good happened too. As Stacey Abrams wrote on January 6th, while today's terrible display of terror and meanness shakes us, let us remember a Jewish son of an immigrant and the first black senator from Georgia will join a Catholic president of the United States and the first woman, black plus Indian vice president in our nation's capital. God bless America.
Turn back, forswear thy foolish ways. Old now is earth, and none may count its days. Yet humankind, whose head is crowned with people glad and wise. Age after age our tragic empires rise, built while we dream and in that dreaming weep. Would we but wake from out our haunted sleep, earth might be fair and people glad and wise. Earth shall be fair and all its people one, nor till that hour shall God's whole will be done. Now, even now, once more from earth to sky, peals forth in joy that old undaunted cry. Earth shall be fair and all its people one. shine a light of love. May we shine a light of love. With every thought, with every step we take, may we shine a light of love.
Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for bringing your energy and your presence here as we gather yet again to try and make some sort of sense out of this very strange world that we are living in. Am I mad? Yes, I am still enraged at all that has happened, and yet I am still hopeful. I see my rage mirrored in the faces of people around me, some whom I don't even know. I just see them online. Some are public figures. I see their heartbreak that mirrors mine. And that gives me hope. Because when we are heartbroken, when we are enraged, there is power in that, power to make significant change and power to make sure that things like what we have seen that have repulsed us cannot happen again. Peace, peace where there is no peace. Yes, but we can create a real peace that is based on our vision of beloved community, that is based in wholeness and democracy and justice for all people. Yes, I am still hopeful. And I am so glad that we have each other to continue to share our hope with and lift us up when we lose our hope and light our candle yet again. So go in peace, go in power, and go with determination.
Soon the day will arise when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile without wondering whether on that day thunder clouds will appear. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there.
This is the truth of who I am, and it's taken me my whole life to celebrate. I won't go back. You can give me a number, slap on a label, tell me I won't be welcome at your table, but I won't bow down to the tyrants anymore. I know what to do, I've been here before. We are the grown-ups now. Think of all those times we've been down and dissed. We are made of strong stuff. We are made for this. And tyrants always fall. Always. This is the truth we've always known. There isn't a lightning bolt to set things right.